Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're just now joining me, my name is Jen Shannon and I am on my journey to creating a six-figure Etsy store, and I am here to take you along the journey with me. Today I'm going to be showing you how I keep myself on track and organized to ensure that I'm not spending too much time focusing on one area and neglecting another area of my business. So with that being said, let's do this. All right, so we are over here in the app that I use to keep myself organized. It is called Asana. They do have a free version. I do not use the paid version, so I'm on the free version, but they do have paid versions you can use as well. And I wanted to show you how I kind of keep everything organized and hopefully inspire you in whatever way, shape, or form you could use the inspiration from organizing. When I first started my Etsy shop, again, I had all these ideas floating around in my mind and all these things I wanted to do and make sure I stayed on top of. But what I found was that as I was focusing on one thing, I'd get hyper focused on it and then forget about these other little things that needed to happen over here. So I wanted to create a weekly schedule that would help me do all the routine things that I need to do and stay on top of those so that I don't end up focused on one thing and letting the other things fall through the crack. So let's go ahead and dive into what that looks like. I'm not going to go through Asana and all of the options that it offers and the features and whatnot. So I'm just going to show you what I've done, and hopefully that will inspire you in positive ways. I'm going to go over here to my tasks, and as you can see, I've got it listed in calendar view. You can do a list view, a board view, you can attach files, but the way that I prefer to do it is calendar view. As you can see, I have all these tasks underneath each day of the week, and I have them set to repeat every week, and then I have them done at certain times so that I allot myself a certain time period to be able to do them before I move on to something else. That way I'm not spending too much time on any one thing. With that being said, I'm not one of those people that sticks to a strict schedule. So if I have something going on one day, I may start at 8:30 or 10 o'clock and then kind of just work my way through it as best I can that day. And if I end up getting through it faster, great. If I don't, then it rolls over to the next day and I work on it the next day. As you can see here, I've got 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1:30, and 2 p.m. on Mondays. I couldn't tell you why one of these is above the other. It kind of annoys me, and maybe there's something I could do to fix that, but for now we're just going with it. As you can see, on Mondays, I have schedule weekly blog posts. And if I were to click on that, you can see the name of it here. You can see that I have a due date here. And like I said, I have it set to repeat. So if I click on this, let me see if I can scroll down so you can see that. You can see that I have it set to repeat here at this time, and the repeat doesn't end. Then if you look here, you can add it to a project if you have certain projects that certain tasks are due for. You have projects listed over here on the left, then that can be added to that project. And then if you continue going down, you can write a description and then add subtasks. And this is my favorite part, is the subtasks, because it gives me the ability to plan within that specific task what I want to do or ideas for future blog posts. So this is a really nice functionality that I personally like. If I click out of that, I'm going to go through and show you the rest of them, because I think that this is a good starting point for people who may want to create something for themselves like this, but then tweak it to whatever their workload or their work week looks like. So I have scheduled blog posts at 9 a.m. I have update website at 10 a.m. If I have scheduled my blog post for the following week and I still have time left over, I will work on the next one after that. So that way I'm getting a full hour in of that work on the blog. On the update website, I have it listed as 10 o'clock. On my website, I have a little spot on the home page right there on the front that shows my upcoming markets. And I have to go in and update that periodically, pretty frequently, so that it doesn't get out of date, because it doesn't auto feed to my events list that will automatically show what my upcoming events are. So I need to go in and update that, make sure the plugins are updated, my WordPress version is updated, that sort of thing. So I just make sure that on that day I am checking everything with my website, making sure it's good, Most of the time it takes less than 5 minutes to do. I allot the full hour to it though, just in case there's something else I need to do with the website. If I'm adding a page, or for example, last week I was adding my newsletter sign up to it, to the sidebar on the blog. So I just want to make sure that I have that time set aside. And if it only takes me a couple of minutes, then I go ahead and move on to the next thing. So the next thing that I have listed is research and design day. For research and design day, that's going to be me coming up with new product ideas and designs to add to my Etsy shop. The research aspect of it is, okay, what's trending, what's popular, what's coming up in terms of holidays or important days that I could potentially profit from making a design off of. And so from that point, I will then design something around it. And then if you continue on, you'll see at 1:30, upload new items to Etsy. So this is going to be where I have, during the design time, I've already designed something, I've put it in Printify or whatever print on demand provider that I'm using, and it's ready to feed over to Etsy. I will have saved it, and then it goes over to my Etsy account, but it sits in drafts until I'm ready to actually put all the information into those listings. So during that 1:30 time slot to 2 o'clock, that's when I'm going to be creating and uploading the stock photos for those particular items outside of what feeds over from Printify. I'll be optimizing the tags, the descriptions, all of that jazz, adding it to the sections of my Etsy shop. So that's kind of what that half an hour is dedicated to. And you'll see that on Tuesday I have another time dedicated to that. So that way, if a half an hour isn't enough, which it usually isn't, I'll have time to go back later in the week and do that. And then, so you can see at 2 o'clock, I have weekly scheduling. Weekly scheduling is just a time set aside for me to sit down and look at my schedule for the week, make sure that if I need to adjust anything or move something to a different day, that I can do that. So that's where that comes from. And then going over to Tuesday, it's a similar format. At 9 o'clock, I schedule my weekly newsletter. And again, if that only takes 15 to 20 minutes, then I'll just continue working ahead until that time slot is over. And then come 10 o'clock, perform market research. That's going to be, again, very similar to the research and design day. But in this case, it's going to be, okay, what's coming up that I can profit off of? What do I need to be thinking in terms of time frames for having designs ready to go to market by a certain time for a certain event or special date like Teacher Appreciation Day or a holiday? So that's what that time is set aside for. Come 11 o'clock, I have niche planning. Now I know niche planning can be kind of a it can be kind of a touchy subject because some people don't believe in niching down. Other people think niching down is a way or a secret to success. In my personal opinion, I do a little bit of everything. I don't want to niche down, but there are certain niches that I think that I can bring value to in things that I'm interested in. So for example, I really like exotic plants. So I may take the niche planning time to design items for the plant niche because that not only makes me happy, but I know it's something other plant lovers might enjoy. So I'm not spending all of my time worried about what niche am I going to go after. It's just a time set aside to be adding that to my Etsy shop without focusing solely on a certain niche. So then after that one, we move over to pinning items in my Etsy shop. That does not take a full hour, but I usually eat at some point in that hour. And so I'll take the time to pin new items that I've added to my Etsy shop to Pinterest. And then at 1:30, you can see I have it listed to upload new items to Etsy. I usually leave to pick up my kids at 3 o'clock, so that leaves me a good hour and a half to finish what I didn't get to finish on Monday during that half-hour period of time. So then we move forward to Wednesday, where I record and edit my YouTube videos. It's kind of labor intensive to do those things, so I do set aside a whole day to do that. But on top of that, that's also going to be the day that if I've already recorded and for whatever reason it went really smoothly and I was able to get it edited and ready to go, relatively quickly, that gives me time to then do resin pouring or wood turning or clay related items for my handmade side of the business. So even though those aren't listed here, they should be. I think I forgot to put them on repeat. You'll see in their handmade business. And so that'll just be for the rest of the day. Thursday, you'll see that I have message buyers for a 5-star review, and that's just a half an hour of the morning so that when people are buying things from me, I'm taking the time out to not only thank them for their purchase, but also ask for that review. And if they don't want to leave me a 5-star review because something was wrong, it gives them an open opportunity to talk to me about it. So that's what I have Thursday morning, 9 a.m. set aside for. And then 9:30, optimize listings and ads. That again doesn't take that much time, but this is going to be where I am tweaking my titles, my tags, my descriptions, and things like that to make sure that I'm optimizing them for what works and what doesn't. And again, going back to some of that market research that we talked about on Mondays and Tuesdays, that's also a time where I'm taking listings that seem to be performing well from an ad or a view perspective, and I split that or duplicate that into a second listing and maybe change the thumbnail or change the tags or change the way the title is worded to try to figure out which one is going to perform best. So that's where I take the time on Thursday to really figure out, okay, let's try these tags, these titles, and just optimize them as best I can. And then again, for the rest of the day, I'll be working on things like usually I have art markets on the weekends. So that's going to be the time where I am prepping items for art markets. And that's going to be wood turning, resin, clay earrings, those kind of things that I take to the market. So I'll either be working on packaging up those items for the market, or I'll be working to complete the items that I didn't get to complete during the week so that they're ready to go to market on the weekends. And then the last thing that I have on here is creating digital items for Etsy on Fridays. When I first opened my Etsy store, I wanted to be able to offer digital items, and this has been like over a decade ago. And so while I've done pretty well with digital items, it's not something that I ever really focused on doing because my Etsy shop was not the center focus for me. So now that it is the center focus for me, I'm wanting to ensure that I'm taking the time aside from not just print on demand, but also doing digital items, because digital items are kind of a great idea. You make them once and they're a lot of work in the beginning, but then they just sell on repeat. For example, one item that I've done really well with in the past is the 100th day of school. So I've created an SVG file that people that have a die cutting machine can purchase and then cut out on their own machines and put on t-shirts so that when their kids have their 100th day of school, they have their own unique design on it. And so those are the kind of things that I want to be creating, or not necessarily SVG files, but just digital files. And I want to make sure that I'm setting aside a time during the week to make sure that I can focus some of my time on that. And as you can see, that's the only thing that I have listed for Friday. And the reason is because it's a snowball effect. So if I can't do something, say Monday or Tuesday, and they have to roll into Wednesday and Thursday, that also gives me Friday to work on additional things that I may need to do. For example, I know most Mondays I will be volunteering in my son's classroom, but I don't always know if that's going to be a couple of hours or the whole school day. So I may not get to these things. So for today, you can see today is the 24th. It's record YouTube day. Well, I didn't get to do anything on Tuesday that I needed to do because I was with my son at a testing all day. So I just needed to make sure that I could set aside time to have those things roll over through the rest of the week to make sure that I can still have time to get those done. So aside from that, the only other things I wanted to show you was the projects. And the projects are nice because if you look here, you can see you can create a project for anything. So I have a holiday planning schedule, a holiday market plan, my Millosaurus line, and holiday product launch schedule. So if I were to click, say, on the holiday planning schedule, you can see I have boards for every month of the year that I created here. And under each of those, if there is something I need to plan for, there's a task under it. So for example, in February, I have start planning for Easter. In March, I have start planning for Mother's Day. And then under the marketing plan for each of those main dates, you'll see that I have the actual date of that listed here. It should be in order, but again, it's not. So I just need to move that around. But here is where I'll be able to write down specific tasks that need to go with that specific holiday. And then with Millosaurus, these are just ideas for some of the sayings. If you haven't checked out Millosaurus in my Etsy shop, you'll have a heyday with it. It's basically a toxic mother-in-law that says all the ridiculous things that toxic mother-in-laws typically say to their daughter-in-law. So it's awesome. And then lastly is the holiday product launch. And this is going to be a schedule where basically when I'm ready to launch products for the holidays, I have them planned out here, what dates they need to go out, and kind of the marketing plan around it, which is a little bit redundant for the holiday marketing plan, but the marketing plan is just a place to plan for those particular holidays, whereas the holiday product launch schedule is actually the dates, the hard dates that these items need to be done by, marketing needs to start happening by, and that sort of thing. So that's what I plan to use for that, for those projects. But again, you can use them however you see fit. So I hope that this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, or if you just want to leave a comment and telling me that this is a great idea, go right ahead. Feel free to leave the questions and comments in the comment section below. And I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye.